They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh, my goodness. I see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How y'all doing? I would say peace. What's up, world? But that's what Dr. Jared Ball always says. I don't want to steal all of his stuff. But I am Tanda Seasway Shimmeringer, and this is Root Work. And it has been so long since I've been here. I done forgot how to do stuff. That's the other reason I asked Dr. Jared Ball to be with me today.
It's
Dr. Jared Ball, I Mix What I Like. How are you doing?
I am as good as could be expected, and it's and happy to be joining you. It's always good to rap with you and hang out a little bit. So
yes, sir. We don't get to do that often enough.
No, how are you doing though? And why so long? Why you been gone so long? People been asking.
Y'all wore me out with this technology. Then I had a cold. Then I had a bunch of other stuff I needed to do. I was like, you know what? I'm out. But I might just be back.
Well, we appreciate it. Whatever we could get.
And I couldn't think of a better way to get back. After I saw you talking about this film, I said, let me go see what Jared talking about. He don't be knowing what he be talking about half the time. Let me go see what he said.
That's often facts.
I said, but I can get with this a little bit. I got a few hard and fast hell no's. But when you asked me about it, I said, well, let's chop it up over BPM.
Right on. I love it.
Thank you for holding my hand. So yes, again, welcome everyone to Black Power Media. Please, if you have not already subscribed, subscribe now. I see so many people in the chat this morning. Good morning to y'all. And since you have obviously subscribed, since you are obviously here, please tell somebody else to subscribe. Please like the video now before you forget. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. Make sure, because when you subscribe, you get a little reminder just like I be getting. And don't forget to support with your hard-earned dollars this independent media platform. Lord knows we need independent media, right? And if you're in the mood, you can throw a couple of dollars my way too. Lord knows I need them. So yes, Black Power Media, BPM, like, subscribe, share, support this channel. Right, Jared?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So now
please listen to Tanda Seasway and do what she says. Please. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just do what I say, like the eyes brothers say.
Yeah.
Just do what I say.
Don't ask no questions.
Zinzabel, need an engineer, Tandy? Yeah, I do. I need so much, but engineer is only one of them. So listen, How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I watched it not long, maybe a day, 2 days after you suggested it. And you suggested coming back in about a month or two, giving people time to view it. I may have messed that up for some folk because we about to spoil it just about all for y'all right now if you haven't already seen it. You know, sometimes people will spoil a movie for me. I'm like, I'll get to it later. And sometimes I can actually go through it after I've heard a critique. And it's okay. I don't know, movie lovers, analysts, it's different for everybody. But yeah, I wanted to see this film and I got some thoughts and wanted to chop it up with you, brother. So why don't
I appreciate it. Yeah. So please get us started. How you want to do
it? What was it that you said? You had asked the question. Hold on. Is this the new style of filmmaking?
Standard.
New standard, or should this be the new standard of filmmaking? So, How to Blow Up a Pipeline, went and found out it's based on a book. which I admittedly have not read,
Mhm.
but it looks like the book would be more to my liking.
Mhm.
I'm not really sure. Read a couple of synopses of the book. I was like, okay, that's in there. Okay, that's in there. That's good. That's cool. I can deal with that. But we're not talking about the book right now. We're talking about this visual representation, this adaptation of the book. So, a new standard in filmmaking, I can see how you'd say that. I can see how you'd say that. And again, we're not critiquing the book. We're critiquing this representation, this
Correct.
adaptation of this book, which follows several characters who have come together. They're activists, or they're either activists or they're people directly affected by an issue. And they come together, take matters into their own hands to sabotage an oil pipeline in Texas. This is part of their activism. This is part of their statement on what is happening in terms of climate change, in terms of fossil fuels, in terms of the state of conditions for people today. So it's a very, very diverse cast of characters, which is one of my quote unquote critiques. But like I said, I thought I would take some notes to get us started. And I've got them under the categories of hard and fast, hell no, extremely problematic, annoying as F, and
Mm.
cool.
Oh wow.
Cool and
Okay.
could have been done better. But anyway, so my hard and fast, hell no. Wait a minute, do we want to? How do we want to do this? Do we want to go into the critique? Do we want to give them like a lay of the land, some more lay of the land, or do we just get into the critique?
It's entirely up to you. I'm not entirely sure. I'm never sure what's the best approach. We can I was just looking through some of my notes. I have the I mean, if you want, we can play the trailer. I have that pulled up from when I did the video. We can run that just to give a if you want, or we can.
Okay,
I don't know. But I'm also happy to jump right into the critique. So
come on, man,
it's
come on. Let's give the folks something to look at other than us for a
okay.
few seconds.
Okay.
Let's run
So
this trailer real quick.
here we go.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Boom Talk. Today, teaching myself to make a homemade blasting cap. If this works, it'll be step one in making our own improvised explosive.
Might be headed to Texas for the winter.
What's in Texas?
It's a project.
What kind of project?
Try to stop the pipeline from being built on my property. Poisons the air, water.
Damn, this place is sick. You guys cooking meth in here?
You ready to start working?
We have to show how vulnerable the oil industry is by hitting something big.
Michael, what do you think the odds are we blow ourselves up?
I don't really care.
We could blow the pipe at the hilltop, keep the oil from leaking.
You're not actually thinking.
I'm not thinking about it. I'm doing it.
What if y'all do structural damage?
Structural damage is kind of the point. This is destruction of federal property. Terrorism.
American Empire calls us terrorists, then we're doing something right.
If you're seeing this, let those who profit from mass death know their properties will be trashed.
3, 2, 1.
They will defame us and claim this was violence or vandalism. But this was justified. This was an act of self-defense.
I think you're muted. Yeah.
I
Okay.
mixed
All
what
right.
I like. All right, so that's the trailer of the film. Again, if you haven't seen it, oh well. So some hard and fast hell no's this group of individuals who have come together for this act of sabotage. Absolutely, positively, under no circumstances whatsoever. Hell no. Meeting someone in a library, having a conversation, and then inviting them into a plot. Hell no. One of y'all is the agent. One of y'all is the agent. Most recently, what was that? I don't remember. It was on Democracy Now! And The Guardian, a bunch of other places, about these folks who got caught up in, was it Colorado, Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, the Alphabet
Somebody's black.
Boys
I started
podcast.
saying
Yeah.
alphabet. How many times have we talked about? Has the movement talked about? Hell, Democracy Now! Has independent media talked about the person who keeps talking about blowing shit up and has the explosives is the agent. The person who keeps talking about shooting shit up and shows you all their guns in their trunk, that's the agent. I guess we got to keep saying it. Okay, fine. Next one, seeing someone's TikTok or YouTube on how to build a blasting cap, a bomb, an explosive device, a primer, a trigger, etc., and then sending them a DM and inviting them into a plot. Hell no. Absolutely hell no. My third hell no, drug addicts, no, and informers. Informers. Now, the informer, so in terms of the new standard of filmmaking, we're talking about the imagination. We're talking, the Hollywood has a particular formula, which is toxic and traumatizing. But when we talk about liberation, we're talking about the imagining of what could be. How come there's no room for what could be, for possibilities, right? We don't always get to see that. So I can understand a film putting something out there. Let's flip this. Let's try this. But Informers is entirely too risky in real life to do that. Now, here's the thing though. When we look around the landscape, especially in our movements, I don't see that many instances of informers flipping. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. It just ain't happened yet. Or in terms of critical mass or numbers, it hasn't happened yet. But it has happened. The one instance I can think of, the only instance I know of, is a brother by the name of Standing Deer, Robert Wilson, who was imprisoned in the federal prison system. And he died a few years ago after he was finally released. But he talks about the fact that he was sent to kill Leonard Peltier. And after sitting and talking with Peltier, as in trying to get to know him, he had a change of heart and told Leonard. And this is one of the reasons why he ended up staying in prison longer than he should have. He eventually got out and, of course, became a member of the Leonard Peltier Defense Committee, American Indian Movement, did all that he could to bring attention to the fact that he was sent to kill Leonard and that Leonard should not have been in prison, and he eventually died. But his story is, he tells he was sent to assassinate Leonard, and he did not do it. So it's possible. The stories of Robert Standing Deer Wilson need to be given more amplification. I mean, how else are we going to get to that point if we don't keep talking about it needs to happen? And yet, if you are faced with an informer in your ranks, I do not want to be in that position. So those are my 4 hard and fast hell no's, my absolutely positively under no circumstances whatsoever hell no's. Meeting somebody in a library, having a conversation. There's a scene where Sean, who's the black guy, he's a student. I can't tell from the film what book he's reading. It's not Anarchist Cookbook, but obviously it's something along that, because the white guy, whose name I forget, who's one of the druggies, comes up to him and asks him about the book, and they start talking. And that's where he says, I might be going to Texas for the winter for a project. Oh, what project? Now, this white guy's story, this I forgot their names. The white guy and the girl, they're a couple. They're drug addicts, but they're also into damaging. Uh, I got a feel of Pacific Northwest from them, damaging that type of property. She gets caught. He gets away. She gets caught, and the federal agent flips her. Says, "You got to become an informant now, or else you're going away forever." When she gets out of the jail, he's like, "How did you get out so fast?" She says, "I handled it." What do you mean you handled it? So the next scene, they're talking about the fact that I'm, is it him or her? One of them is like, I'm not, oh, yeah, the guy, "I'm not comfortable with you informing on our friends."
Mhm.
She says, "Well, what else I'm going to do?" He's the one who says, "Let's find someone else." And then you see him talking to Sean in the library. So, dude is obviously problematic from the get. But the other thing is, like I said, they're using drugs, they're snorting, these people are unreliable. First of all, they're unreliable. And in this particular package, we just happen to have the informants. So no meeting somebody in the library, having a conversation with them. For God's sake, don't watch no TikTok on how you're gonna build a bomb. And then either you reach out to that person or that person reach out to you. No drug addicts. The informers, I say no, even though we need more informers to flip. Now, what's extremely problematic for me, the first time I watched it, I didn't catch it. The first time I watched the film, I'm forgetting everybody's name except for Michael and the sisters. Anyway, the white guy. First time I watched it, I was like, okay, because I didn't know Theo's backstory or Sochi's backstory yet, even though they're in Long Beach. I was like, okay, this white guy, he's someone who's directly affected by the problem. That's good that they have him in there. But then on the second one, I'm watching it, and he's talking about the fact this land has been in my family for 100 years. I'm like, wait, ho. That ain't your land, white boy. That's not your land in the first place to begin with. So having the descendants of colonizers and settlers who have no moral standing whatsoever, that's problematic for me. Very problematic. What is annoying as fornication? None of these people want to be helped. Sister don't want to be helped opening the door. They don't want to be helped grabbing a bag. Oh, I got it. I can get okay. Nobody wants to accept a helping hand. Every man, every woman is an island. I can do it myself. Well, then why are you in community with these other people? Why are you here? I got it. No, sister, you ain't. Y'all been standing in the cold for 5 minutes trying to get in the door. That's when Theo walks open and kicks open the door. Okay. Now this one's going to be interesting. I'm going to come back to this one. The forced We Are the World Kumbaya. Come on, man. Stop it. You got a Native American. You got 3 white people. You got a Latina. You got a Desi, a South Indian woman. You got a black person. Just stop trying to throw everybody together. That's just too
And
much.
then the queerness of it too. So you got the race and the gender and the sexuality. Everybody's there.
I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay.
But just stop trying to throw everybody together, man. Just that was just too hard. That was too forced. Then you got the women, the sisters. I can lift up this however ton drum just like you. No, you can't. No, you can't. Stop trying to act like you can lift up that drum just as much as these do. You can't do that. Yeah, you can do it in concert with them, but just stop. Just stop. Just stop trying to force certain things.
And if you don't mind, I just want to, for
No,
context, so people understand what you're talking about. If they haven't seen the film, there's a part where they're in preparing the bomb. They have to roll
in placing the bomb. When they're
but remember they have to roll it first to get it to mix and to harden properly.
Yeah,
so
no, I wasn't talking about that. I saw
when
she took this when she snapped the photos.
No, because
handler.
But the issue of the physicality of it, I thought started because I caught the point you're getting, but I thought it started earlier when they're still, because remember they have to push it almost like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill. They have to push that heavy before they're even installing it. And it's the two women who
Well,
are pushing it,
yeah, they
talking
were.
about we got it.
Yeah.
And
So
so that's what I thought you were. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I
Go ahead.
wasn't referring to that part. The rolling it of it made sense, but now when they're trying to lift it up,
I see. I got you.
under the pipeline, I'm like, what? Okay.
Got you. No, I just want to be clear that for the audience that you're talking about
Yeah. So
the installation of
they've got ammonium
the
nitrate.
weapon itself. Got
Isn't
you.
that what Timothy McVeigh had, or was it fertilizer? I forget. But they've
Honestly, I
put
don't
all this
remember.
stuff together.
Yeah.
I don't even know how huge the steel drum is. How many gallons? How many tons? It's obviously heavy as fornication. It's obviously heavy to the point where it breaks on the levee they're using or the pulley and ends up breaking one of the sister's legs. That's how heavy this damn thing is. But okay, anyway. What did I think was cool? Again, those most affected by the problem have a say in it. You have the character of Sochi, who's a Latino Chicana. She might even be, I don't know if she's Latina, Chicana, out in Long Beach, California, where I am, grew up in the oil refinery port area. Her mom, the film begins, I believe her mom has passed away, but we're not sure how her mom has passed away, but we can assume it has to do with cancer or something with these chemicals. She's best friends with Theo, the South Asian sister, who has an aggressive form of leukemia in its advanced stage. Now that it's been caught, she is going to die. She is mad about it and wants to do something about it. She talks about the fact that when she and Sochi were children, they would go outside and play in the rain, and she would come back and her skin would be stinging from the chemicals that are released in the air, right? So she read to go. So they're obviously affected by this issue. Sochi is a student who, after her mom dies, she recruits Sean, the black guy, and then she's like, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. No more college. We got to deal with this issue of what these oil companies are doing right now. She's recruited Sean. She goes back to recruit Sochi, her girl. And Sochi's like, I don't give, I'm leaving. Are you kidding? Of course I'll be down and do this. This is my FU to the world. This on my parting shot because they've killed me, right? Those most affected by the problem have a say in it. The planning for the alibis and the tech needs, I thought that was excellent. I thought that was cool. They did not hold the state in awe. The legitimacy of the state, the status quo was out the window. Property damage, yes, property damage. And I like the fact that Michael, our Native American, or Dinge's brother, he was the only one to call it an empire. I was like, okay. Michael spends his days, Michael, if you could, when you see the trailer, he's the quote unquote, what they would call him, the sullen one, right? Always walking around angry. Michael spends his days, I don't know if it's North Dakota, but somewhere or up north in a colder climate where they've got pipelines. He spends his days walking around trying to break into the establishments. They've trespassed him and fighting white boys who have come up there to work. They don't even live in that community. They just come up there to work in that industry. He spends his days fighting them like, why don't you go home, colonizer? Spitting on them, socking them, come home beating his bruises. Mama's like, what are you doing? So that's Michael. Theo's partner, I think her name is Alicia. Yeah, the sister.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. The black girl. She's in this because she loves and is loyal to Theo, despite knowing the risks and knowing the outcome. Oh, anyway.
And seeming to come from a middle class, right? She seemed to have some middle classness to her. I got that impression. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm trying to figure out, was she working as a quote unquote cleaning person?
Oh, you're right. She was.
Because she's working as a cleaning person, or was that part of the
support,
I don't know.
For her?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because her girlfriend had the same job. You're right. Oh, I didn't catch. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Good
so
question.
I'm like, was that because you trying to establish your alibi ahead of time? Because as she's cleaning this swanky home,
knowing she's on camera. That's right.
Maybe she got the codes from Theo. she's cleaning on
Yeah.
there's cameras in this place, in this home that she's cleaning. And then we see her take some codes and configure the home security system, basically to show that she's going to be there while she's out on this pipeline in Texas.
Right,
So we
right.
don't see how she gets the code. We just like, how you get them codes? She probably
And to
got
your
it.
point, we don't know why she has that job. Does she have that job because she needs it, or does she have that job to establish the alibi and because that's the same job her girlfriend has? Right?
Because I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, I ain't seen no sisters cleaning houses in a while. So are you an immigrant? But even that way, I'm not sure. I ain't seen it in a while.
She could have been a first generation continental African immigrant. She because she didn't have her accent herself, so she could have herself been like a first generation. But I'm thinking more to the point that you just raised now. I'm thinking she was in comradeship with her girlfriend, and maybe her girlfriend needed the job legitimately, but she seemed in it, or it was portrayed as if this was part of the mission. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. That's deep. That's deep.
Because
I
again,
don't
I'm
know.
like, how you get this code? But anyway, okay, fine.
Yeah.
It seemed that sophisticated enough to me to be able to crack codes, but you know what I'm saying? They were able to do something.
Right.
What did I say? This is cool. No, this is not the part that's cool. Okay, took the adage to heart. I saw this on the internet somewhere. Why is property damage not an acceptable response to murder, but murder is an acceptable response to property damage? At the end of what you saw in the trailer is at the end of the film. I keep wanting to call her. No, she is Sochi. Sochi is she's basically recorded a manifesto that's going to automatically play around the time she believes she's been arrested. And as part of that manifesto, she talks about this is self-defense. We are defending ourselves by destroying this. Now, property damage is not always self-defense, especially when you have Black folks being murdered by the police. But the question is asked, why is that not a response, an acceptable response to the murder of people in the street? But murdering people is an okay response to property damage, because if you remember, when our drug dealing duo, they have a job to do at this another end of the pipeline installation. Pipeline workers show up, and in order to stop the pipeline workers from discovering the plot, the dude punctures their tires and then runs off to draw their attention so that our drug dealing girl can do something at the installation part. They want to turn off the oil so that when the pipeline blows, it won't be this quote unquote disaster. So in order to draw attention away from her, he takes off running. Well, this is Texas, where they got open carry guns. And this pipeline worker pulls out a piece and is shooting that dude as he's running. This is acceptable, to shoot at a person who's fleeing unarmed because of quote unquote an act of vandalism. So I thought it was cool that they showed that. That's a lesson that we need to learn and take into.
Just to be clear, to be perfectly accurate as we know we always want to be, he would have been seen to be armed with a deadly weapon. Just that deadly weapon would have been a knife he used to cut the tires. So it wasn't that he was technically unarmed. He would have been defined. I'm just saying, from their perspective, he would have defined as carrying a deadly weapon.
I'm just saying, he starts
you're
away.
No, you're right. No, your underlying point is perfect.
I got you. But
I just
like
wanted
what
to,
they do when Black folks quote unquote are armed. Oh, he had a gun, even though he was running away. They could see the gun. That's when they shoot us in the back.
Yeah,
he wasn't running with the knife.
Nope. And they wouldn't have known he had a knife unless they concluded that's how he slashed the tire. So you're right. I don't know why. I just wanted to throw that in there, just to make sure we
don't know why. I know why, but I hear you. But yeah, it's just. But again,
but you're right. But because your point about we could kill you if you hurt property, but you can't hurt property in as self-defense against being killed. That's deep.
He's running away from you, and you're shooting. First of all, you're not a police officer. You're shooting.
And you're not in danger. And you're
You're
not in danger.
And why are you shooting to stop him? Come on, man. No. All right. The part about could have been done better. I remember Asada talking about the fact that, and lots of folks in the BLA talking about the fact that not only would they engage in firearms training, medical corps training, how to set bones, how to set wounds, etc. So medical corps training could have been done better. So after dude is shot, they make it to a motel. Drug addict girl is able to get the bullet out of her. I can't remember. I used to know their names. I can't remember her name anymore. She's able to
reduce the drug addicts.
drug addict girl. She gets the bullet out of him. He doesn't die from blood loss. They're good. But she looked like she was kind of unsure. Medical corps training gives you a little bit more confidence, a little bit more surety, and including medical corps training in a film would show that you are prepared, or you need to be this type of prepared. So yeah, a new standard of film. I want to see what you have to say about that. And I appreciate the imagination of winning. Basically, they won. They set out to do something and they did it. And we get to see a scene in the film at the end after we see Theo is laying in a hospital after they're arrested. Theo is laying in a hospital bed, handcuffed to the rail with a respirator on. Sochi is now in federal prison, which is where she knew she was going to go. Was it her manifesto or just her spiel to the others? Yeah, it was her spiel to actually Theo's girlfriend. This is, I'm going to go to prison. Theo's going to die. But this is an incredibly sympathetic story that the public can gravitate towards. I might not be there that long. And others will take up our work. So at the end of the film, again, we've got Theo laying in a hospital bed, handcuffed. She looks unconscious. So she's in a federal prison cell. And we see another group of people donning masks and going to destroy a yacht. And as they destroy the yacht, they've posted a flyer to a pole saying, "This is why I destroyed your property," which takes us back to the beginning, how the film opens with Sochi, with a hoodie on, going up to an SUV, punching the tires, and then leaving a note on the windshield. "This is why I destroyed your property." So even though Sochi's in federal prison, we knew Theo was going to die. Sean goes back to school, but we're left with the impression that he might be under surveillance now. Michael, I guess, goes back to his community. We don't see where, I think her name was Alicia. I'm not sure. We don't see where Theo's girlfriend goes off to. And the white dude, he goes back to his family, his wife, and his 3 daughters on that stolen land. So, but yeah, they won. They put their shit out there as the default, as the hegemonic worldview, and they acted on that. This is destroying the planet. We got to do something about it. We gonna do this. Let's do it. And they did it. I'm done.
I love it. That was great. I'm just making one more note so I don't forget. In fact, I'll start with that last point. I think you raising this point about the white Texan as a colonizer not being acknowledged as such. But I thought that was interesting because, and I just wrote this down. I didn't note this when I watched it at first, and I didn't catch it until you made this point just now. There's a scene where the white boy and Michael, the indigenous man, who I described initially as representing the pessimism that's often associated with Afro-pessimism, because he says he's the one that says, "I don't care if we die. I don't care if this don't work. I don't care if this economy collapses." He was like all of that. When they had those discussions about, well, what if this hurts the economy? And what are we going to do? He was the one who was like, "I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I'm swinging on white boys. They've destroyed my whole people. I don't care what happens next. And I fully identify with that.
Mhm.
This whole thing of we need to have a proper solution in place first, and we need to. I identify with Michael all the way. I don't give a goddamn about the next step.
Michael
Wreck this
so
first.
does not care. It's all over his face.
All over his face.
Oh, Michael don't give a goddamn. Do you hear me? They're asking, hey, what do you think are the odds that we blow ourselves up? Who cares? Obviously, they do, Michael. He don't give a goddamn.
But to your point, this is where I just noted this huge contradiction. He calls the white boy a colonizer who he fights earlier, and then his mother is shown criticizing him for saying he's just a white man trying to get a job. But then Michael ends up sharing a sleeping space with the Texan, and they commiserate over the lack of seriousness of the rest of them. At no point, go ahead. No, I was just gonna, sorry, go ahead.
Texan is the one who picks him up on the road. So obviously, I mean, Sean is the one who has put Sean, the college student, is part of some group. I don't know if they're filming people as part of the group or if that was part of the cover. But Sean finds the Texas dude. I can't remember his name. So he obviously recruits him. How the Texas dude knows Michael, I'm not sure. I don't even know.
Yeah, we skip a lot of steps. The film does skip a lot of steps.
Yeah, I don't know who contacted Michael, saw his video, but the Texas dude is the one that picks up Michael. Like, did you walk here from South Dakota or wherever the hell he's from? So they're together. They're good together.
But when they're in that bedding space, face to face,
right?
I thought, to your point, if they added a scene in there, like right after that, if the white boy turns him or whatever, and he's like, they're not serious, so we got to watch the drug, the whatever. If they had then moved into a conversation, and the scene that just came to my mind was and this is I read about later on, was a scene that Spielberg got in a lot of trouble from his fellow Jews in the film Munich. Because in the film Munich, for all of its flaws, there is this one scene where you get to see a Palestinian and an Israeli have a real discussion. And the Palestinian, in a very, I thought, appropriate way, was shown saying, look, this is what it is. Y'all are, he was laying it out. And I thought, as you were talking, that's the scene I thought of that we needed in this film between Michael and the white boy. That if right at that moment that they're laying there and the white boy, they're like, they're not serious. We're the only serious ones. If right after that, Michael had a line in there, or if they had a conversation about
one that said they're not serious.
Right. Okay, either way.
White boy's like, go to sleep, Michael. And then it stopped.
So if the next part, if they would have escalated then to part of me being serious is also recognizing you as a colonizer too. And then if they had that conversation, the movie would have been even better.
The movie would have been over. Why are you here? You're a colonizer. You're a descendant of a colonizer.
No.
You have no right to this land.
So that's the part where I made another note initially when you brought up that point to say that this, and the actor that plays Michael, the indigenous dude, is one of the executive producers of the film. So I thought that part was interesting too. So he's had a lot to say with a lot to do with how the film is finalized.
Mm-hmm.
But I also thought from what the film is trying to do, and this is the line that I see them trying to walk. They want to acknowledge the colonization, but they also want to bring in the white boy audience.
Always want to include themselves. Always.
But once I realized that this indigenous dude was an EP, I'm not seeing it that they want to include themselves. I saw it as his tactic of saying I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying I saw it as a tactic of we want white audiences. We want a white majority country to see that they too have a vested interest in this fight.
We want buy-in. Yeah, I hear you. Mm-hmm.
So they allowed for, on the one hand, for him to be attacking the white man as the colonizer, but in this case, working in league with the one, even if they had Michael in a scene where he's talking to someone else, maybe his own people, And he's saying, I recognize this one as a colonizer, but this colonizer I also have to work with because he's willing to help me to this point of the struggle, and then I got to fight with him next. That would have been the Afro pessimist full on display for me, because it's like what Frank has said about Palestinians.
Right.
We work with you to get rid of the Israelis, but then we got to have another conversation.
No, I feel you. Absolutely, I understand that, but that's that white buy-in. Once again, you gotta have you ain't gotta you don't have to. You already got the druggies. You ain't got to have him. I mean, because like it's so stark. You on this land as a Texan, that ain't your land. First, ain't none of this your land. But you here in Texas, that ain't your land. It's been in your family.
They even show him sort of quietly resisting the racism of his own people too. Yeah.
Real quick. My thing is like even with reparations, inheritance. You inherited an ill-gotten gain. You have inherited an ill-gotten gain. No, you're not supposed to be here, but you're in the film. I didn't make the film, so you're here. No, you would not have been here in Tandi's version. Which is why Tandi didn't make the film. But yeah.
Which is why Tandi didn't make the film, and I probably would agree with you, and Jared's film wouldn't have gotten made either. Because I wouldn't have done it either. I would have leaned in probably to the initial part of him going at the colonizers, Michael, that is, and I would have not included the Texas. Anyway, that was just my thought about what they were trying to do. Just quickly, the reason I'm calling this a new standard of film is not that I think it's got everything right, and I think I don't have any major issues, at least with anything you said. So I think the criticisms have been perfect, but by new standard, I'm simply saying this is what I want to see as a starting point for films about politics. Not that it got everything right, but it's saying, wait, where did that come from? What is that?
I have no idea.
Did you do that?
No, sir. They're here. They're here.
Yo, that was weird as hell. What is that?
Here. It wasn't me. My cursor was actually over my mute button.
But you saw the thumbs up pop up,
right? That. There it is again. It's white, and it's white.
Like straight up, where is that coming from, though?
I have no idea, yo.
That's a little spooky, straight up. Like, what's going on with? Where did that come from? That's weird. Okay.
Listen, hold up. Yeah, hold up.
Yeah, that was weird as hell. What is that? Are we being hacked?
Who in your chat? Word.
I don't see anybody over. There's nothing on this end that looks at all different. So I don't know what the hell that was. That was weird. Anyway. Yeah, no, of course. What? So by new standard, what I'm saying is just that in encouraging unsanctioned activity and giving that unsanctioned activity legitimacy, like they weren't using this group of people to put up as a prop to make some point about why activists should just do what is acceptable or why they're immature. It wasn't like let's demean them as silly. So I appreciated that, and that's really all I meant. That let's give room for unsanctioned ideas and not demean them. So so I admit that my bias for that is so strong that I either forgive certain things or overlook certain things, some of which you've raised here. So so everything that you mentioned, all the stuff about the like, I was willing to let all that go. The TikTok bomb making thing,
let it go.
This is what I'm saying. My bias is so strong in favor of the promotion. You know, I'm guilty. So even the stuff that even in the moment, I even made the conscious choice. Nope, I don't care. When like the point you're making. So we just going from filming somebody in an interview to inviting them to illegal activity. Like we're just skipping stuff. And we're not going to give there's no cinematic, like there could have been something done cinematically to say we're skipping time, but we want you to know some pieces are missing. Like they did some things, so this isn't as illogical as it sounds. Like they could have done better with that. So to your point, it just skips a lot of steps. Like we just went immediately. Like I remember one time vividly years ago being invited. We were like, to a small meeting, and they were like, "You got to leave your phones in the car and no devices." And we're checking and everything. We get in the room, and people were advocating things that maybe theoretically I might have found sanctionable, but at the moment I was like, nah. You may have said we left our phones outside, but I don't believe it given the context of this conversation. So I'm gonna go ahead and stay quiet and just dip.
Real quick, just to
go ahead.
Just to throw in there, when Sochi and Sean, who are part of some environmentalist group, Sochi's like, "Why are we talking about this? We need to blow shit up," and everybody else is trying to talk her out of it. Eventually, Sean is like, "We need to have a meeting." So he goes to her dorm room. They put their cell phones in the refrigerator,
right,
and then they talk.
Yeah. In fact, that's exactly what was triggering that memory that I had, so I get you on that. I'm with you on all of that. Now I did have a question about because they do try to show the couple that you're describing as the drug addicts.
They were drug addicts.
Were. Okay, but just in my bias and defense of drug addiction, I'm like, but they're also human beings and they're decent people. They just but whatever. I get your point. But my question was though, but was she an informant? Because what I thought this film did I thought was an interesting twist on the informing that I don't think we see very much of was that this is exactly how people get caught up. People get arrested, then they get.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say they get arrested, and then the FBI or whoever says, "We'll keep you out of jail, but you got to go snitch." So we see that part all the time. What I don't feel like we often see is them using that as part of the plot.
We don't. We absolutely don't.
So I didn't get that she was actually an informant, that she was actually flipping the informing to benefit the struggle and to not snitch. Did I miss that? Am I wrong in that? Or
what are you saying again? You lost me.
Well, because when you were saying, because I thought you were saying in your hell no section that the fact that they had informers was like a full stop. And I'm saying, but she wasn't an informer though.
She came to them and said, "I'm an informer." And Sochi's like, "Let's use her."
Right.
Remember, this is the scene where Alicia, Theo's girlfriend, comes to Sochi's place of business. Have you lost your mind? What are you people doing? How come tell me why I should not call the police on y'all right now? And I thought it was because of I think it had to do with the entire thing, but then she brings it up. Really, Sochi, an informer? She's like, I believe her. I believe she's sincere.
Yeah.
You talk about using her. So she was absolutely, and she was placed there as an informant.
Yes.
But she flipped,
right,
and they made it work to their advantage. But see, when I see that though, I mean, yeah, that's good that we saw that on film. Again, it worked out, but we usually don't see it on film working out. We usually don't see it on film. I don't know if it's worked out before because you know what it reminds me of? I'm going to be a police officer and I'm going to change things from the inside.
No, I'm with you on that. If I was in a room, if I was in a room involved in any discussion and somebody said, I want to introduce so-and-so, they have been arrested and put here as an informant, but I trust them and they're my person and we're good, I would immediately, without saying another word, get up and leave. I just wouldn't even,
You wouldn't even
no
argue.
Disrespect. I'm not even arguing. I'm just, I might hit it. I might hit him with a little
salute. I'm out. I'm not going to be here with this informant.
And then similarly,
wait, we can flip them.
No.
Why?
No, I wouldn't even heard that part of the conversation. And then also, if after the fact, if we did do some shit and were successful, if someone came to me and said, "Oh, by the way, so-and-so was a flipped informant," and it worked on our behalf and you didn't know that going in, it would be a similar, I'm glad we got away with it this time, but that's not the method for me.
I'm not working with you anymore because
I'm not working with you exactly.
You can't trust me. You can't be trusted.
No.
Nope.
So
Nope.
yeah, you're right.
Nope.
I'm with you on all of that.
And it's not so much.
Yeah.
Yes, I have compassion for people who are. See, there are people who are addicted to drugs, and the way this couple is portrayed in the film, these slackers, they ain't got no political. They just out here doing shit. There's an art. Remember, they have an argument. Our drug addicted boy and girl. He comes from wealth. He said, "Well, you could have just called your lawyer father." He's like, "I would never call my father," or something to that effect. She's like, "You got all this, that, and the other. I had nothing. What else was I gonna do? They're threatening me with prison." That's where he's like, "I'm not cool with you snitching on our friend, not comrades, mind you, which is a conscious trait.
Right.
I'm not cool with you snitching on our friends. Well, what else am I gonna do? We're gonna find somebody else." He's the one who goes and picks Sean. No wonder you got shot. Anyway.
I did catch that part. I was like, of course they go to the brother. They it's like, who are we gonna set up? And it's like, oh
man.
So all right, where's my notes? What was the question? So the question I did want to ask you more than anything is, or as much as anything is, a bulk of the criticism I got after doing a video encouraging people to see the film was none of what we discussed here so far. And I'm interested that you didn't at least bring it up in this way. So I'm curious to what you think. The number one critique I got in response to me, criticizing me, is that the film is a psychological warfare operation meant to encourage people into illegal activity that can then be used by the state to increase repression. Do you get that from the film? What do you think of that criticism?
Sounds more conspiracy theorist to me, but I am not an expert. You know, the thing about conspiracy theories is when they are presented, I feel like the energy around them, don't do nothing. Don't do anything. We got to do something, damn. But within this, listen, Sochi was clear from the beginning. I'm going to jail. Okay. If I get out early, fine. My mama dead. Me and Theo, we've been girls since we was kids. She gonna die. I'm gonna go to jail. I can either get out early or not. I'm okay. Theo knows she's going to die. Theo's problem's about to be over with. She's gonna be gone. So she's like, what do I have to live for? And so those kinds of people who have a political consciousness, dare I say a political maturity, and ain't got nothing to lose. She was already doing this work. And now she's made a conscious decision.
Right.
Yeah, I might go to prison. That's what we need. Not, this is a psyop. Don't get involved.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
That's my perspective. That's my
No, I didn't get that either. I was a little bit shocked by that criticism. Admittedly, I didn't because I walked out of the film inspired, not even necessarily to go do anything that the film is talking about, but inspired at the idea that, first of all, that there are people who are upset with this world and want different discussions and different responses. I am inspired. I am very glad I didn't see this film in my pre-marriage, pre-children, early, because that whole let's attack property approach is very, very enticing to me. And having read a few things about what has happened to white middle-class youngsters who engage in that, the state don't play with them.
No, it doesn't.
They don't play with them. They are happy to they'll put rich white boys in prison forever. If they even, there was one, I read a story, somebody burnt up a pickup truck at an empty pickup truck at an empty construction yard that was building in the forest or whatever. And they burnt up the truck and they got life.
Because
they got life.
I remember when before
environmental
Deruba,
terrorism, they get hit with that whole expanded charge thing. Yeah.
Like when before Deruba got out, is it Passing It On? It was one of those films on Deruba. He said it was the idea of the Black Panther Party, the idea of black self-defense that has to be stopped. It's the idea. You gonna destroy our property? And you one of us? Oh, hell no.
As you said, that's the category. That's their category. Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no. We not having this. So it's the ideas that they want to destroy. So we're critiquing this. Hey, Mama Sukari Finley, revolutionary suicide. If you ain't got nothing to lose, if you have nothing to lose, let us get you some political education. Let us get you some. So hopefully you've been doing this for a while. That's why we've got a platform like Black Power Media and other independent media to spread these ideas and to put people in connection with one another, with organizations and organizing. This is something you live and breathe, not sit around and think about it in your dorm room for a while. People have lived and breathed and died this, but they died it because they believed. They lived and breathed. Right? These weren't just some college kids on a, because she left college. She's like, I'm out.
That's right.
But she also, again, she was directly affected from this issue growing up in Long Beach, where there are freeways connected to the polluting the air, that's connected to the refineries, that's connected to the ports and the ships coming in, offloading this cargo. Yeah, when you're directly affected by a situation.
It's funny. I didn't hear that verse in Snoop's Gin and Juice. Was that the extended remix where he talks about the Long Beach environmental?
No, I don't think there is an extended version.
As Snoop, because I haven't heard Snoop talk about that. What he because he's from Long Beach, right? I got that right, right? Yeah,
yes.
He did. I haven't heard that part, so I thought that was a very interesting point. That and you know what? I meant to actually look into that and never did. To the extent to the extent to which that is based in true stories, because that sounded horrific to be. And I would have thought Long Beach is not. I don't know. I would have stereotypically thought to hear a story like that in like Kentucky or for some reason Long Beach, I would have thought is just California and at most regular black gangsterism.
It's not all Nate Dogg and Warren G. And
no,
there are ports there, the refineries there. Yes. You know what? Real quick, let me just say this because it's Black Power Media, and Black Power Media invites controversy. You know, one of the things that I thought was cool. So I keep calling this is bad. Not Sochi. Theo and Alicia being together. I'm just glad it was two women of color.
Why do you say that?
Because I get tired of seeing white folks as a romantic partner to a person of color. I was like, whew, thank you.
So hetero or homo, you just want same.
In my early 20s, as a student at Howard University in Washington, D.C., one of the loves of my life is Washington, D.C. I love that city. Beautiful in terms of the cultural conscious community. I was becoming a black nationalist. That's my early beginnings. Zenzali can tell you. And at my most homophobic point in my life, I think I've gotten better. At my most homophobic point in my life, I was still, can you get a black partner, please? Dang. If you're going to be that, I should be embarrassed to say that, but I'm not. I'm keeping it transparent. I'm like, because I'm gonna take people. You if you check out some online chatter that people are talking about in these commercials that they keep seeing, it's like, why are these commercials all interracial? Why are we keep seeing all this stuff? So there are people who are catching who are picking up. I'm not saying it's a plot. I'm saying people are seeing it and they're like,
Oh, I think there's a conscious. I've noted that. I think there's an absolute conscious attempt to promote interracial relationships. Uh, uh, and it's not even so much. I have my bias with that, but that's separate from what I'm really seeing. And this would have been my in terms of this film where I would have found my one critique that that I think that the interraciality is being promoted, whether it's same or different genders, above and beyond same, not only same race, but in terms of heterosexual relationships. Almost, I get the impression that there is a conscious effort to demean heterosexual Black relationships.
Probably.
And that so for instance, I'm less, what I note more than the race or the gender of the one relationship or the one of two relationships we see in the movie. My bigger issue is that none of those relationships, and almost never are those relationships between a Black man and a Black woman. And it seems, and so again, my issues and biases aside, I do think that there is there is an effort to say that if anybody's going to get together, it can be basically any coupling that is not a Black man and a Black woman. So now I would have liked, now because this is also not, this is just anecdotal. In my own personal sphere of social and political life, those I know who are in homosexual relationships are more nationalist than the heterosexuals in my sphere. So I would have loved if part of what we saw in this movie, similar to what I was saying that could have happened between Michael and the white boy, I would have loved, because I don't think there was anything. We got a lot relative to the film, a lot of a discussion between Theo and her, and I forgot their names, but the two women who are together.
I think it's Alicia. I want to say
that sounds right. That sounds right. We got enough. Not enough, but we got a good amount of them on film. And I would have loved if they had had some kind of conversation about that point about the racial dynamic of their relationship. But
would that have fit in this film? I don't think that would have fit.
No.
Not have fit in this film. See,
but oddly enough, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Be careful. See, you running up into a baby shower and you want to know why it's not a birthday party. Be careful. Careful now.
I do like that line. I do like that line. And when you hit me with it before, it took a minute. But I do think, okay, I do like that line.
Be careful.
But I do think that maybe that scene wouldn't have fit as well. But I do think if they had the scene I asked for before between Michael and the indigenous, or Michael and the white boy, that scene that I'm now advocating between these two women would have fit.
It also would have seriously
messed up the movie.
No, it would have damned the morale.
Yeah.
If you think about it, but again, it was that is my criticism. You forcing stuff together. No, don't do that. Don't do that. And let me just say real quick regarding interracial relationships. My thing is, I feel it has been promoted or wants to be promoted as, oh, can't we all just get along? Love is the answer. I'm like, love is not the answer because hate is not the problem. This is not about hate. This is about power and dominance. So just throwing people together, loving each other, that's not going to do. No, hate is not the problem. So that type of love,
yeah, sorry,
that type of love is not the answer to the problems of if we just loved one another. Somebody got to stop loving power and domination. That's if you want some love, that's what people need to stop loving. Stop craving and wanting power and domination. So pairing, interracial couples together and reproducing, no, that's not the answer because that's not the problem. The problem is one of domination and power. So that's what I want to say regarding interracial relationships.
I know this is your show, but if you'll forgive the indulgence.
Yeah, listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
You stupid, shut up.
That's
was I just spitting?
To me, and that's how I've, in better way than I do it, how I try to summarize my concern. This is not personal. I don't have a problem. People love I get it.
Talking about we shall overcome.
And that's sort of what I'm saying. It's not even that.
There's a line in We Shall Overcome. Black and white together. That's not the answer because black and white apart is not the problem. Power and domination is the problem. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I've just always had this issue. I mean, it's not about a critique of my own self or my own parents or anybody's decisions. It's this question of what is. Again, I don't want me being included to come at the detriment or at the condemnation of a quote unquote all black union. Mm-hmm. So that's why I feel like there is this attempt to say to promote this interracial unity that isn't both happening in real life, and to your point, is not the problem. That's not the issue. That's why I just love what you said there, and it's similar to what I've always quoted Dream Hampton as saying, and I've always liked her line when she said, me being biracial and claiming a black or recognizing a black identity is no more a condemnation. There go that thumb again. This is deep. Is no more a condemnation, she said, of my white mother than me identifying as a feminist is a condemnation of my male father. Mm-hmm. And I love that approach. I don't, and and that's the point. So I don't want me. I appreciate this. This thumb is
whoever you are.
Liking this. And how are you getting this on the screen?
Yeah, we gotta deal with that issue.
I've never seen that before. This is, and it's wild. And at least it's a thumbs up. At least it's not like a
middle finger.
Or a Confederate flag or something. You know what I mean? It's not like a Klan robe or something. So and that's always, so I remember there was a former colleague of mine was a white man who had a black wife and two of their biracial children, and we used to have this disagreement all the time because he would champion the fact of this as an advance in human society, and I was always saying, why is that an advance? Why is it, if your wife had ended up with a black partner, why would that have been somehow some civilizational devolution? That's the part I'm like, it's fine to say I'm happy for us to be together and everybody has the right to fall in love and we should welcome I'm cool, whatever. But why is it seeming to come at the expense of this? It seems to come at this expense if two black people get together. And in this case, if two black heterosexual people get together, it's somehow not appropriate, or we're stuck in some retrograde existence. So I
am not a film scholar. I am a film junkie. I enjoy the suspension of disbelief. I want to be taken on a journey. I want to sit in front of a film. I just want to enjoy it. But even like Margaret Kimberly of Black Agenda Report says, we don't turn off our brains when we do this. Yeah. So for me, Tonda Season, I ain't speaking for BPM, nobody else. I noticed when you had the first Blade with Wesley Snipes, with his, at that point, beautiful black self. And then you had beautiful black ass Enbushe Wright. Ever since that one, we ain't seen no more black women in Blade. There's that scene where Blade has been drained and he needs to replenish. And so he bites in Boucher Wright. I was like, you know what? I think that was just too much sexual chocolate for people.
I believe it.
Like, no more black women in Blade. That's just me. Now that could just be Tonda Caesar over here in her crazy corner. I'm just putting it out here. As
Look,
a
I remember.
matter of fact, one of my Facebook friends the other night said, "Name a film where a black man saves a black woman." I think that's a good project. So Blade was one of them. Django was another. And your favorite film, they cloned Tyrone. Let's just keep it on a black man saving a black woman. Let's just keep it on that. Let's just.
Does he save her and clone Tyrone? I thought she saved them. Okay, you're right.
Remember the first time they figure it out. They see something's going on. Then old girl disappears. She gets snatched up. They're like, "Oh no, we got to go get her. We got to go get her."
That's an interesting question. I'm gonna think about that for a minute. That's a good question. Now, what I was thinking of that I think also relates is something that Will Smith said. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Ricky Ryan said, "Ain't no film starring Denzel." I'll tell you that. Denzel always saving a white girl, white what? Anyway.
But you know the mythology though is that Denzel stayed married to his same black woman all these years, so he's untouchable. You can't critique him. But he can't depict that relationship on film, though, is Ricky's point.
Same black woman. 4 black babies. He rescuing white prostitutes, white children. Who else?
His very first movie. The very first film he got. He's essentially saving the white family that is his father, is his family.
Went and picked up the flag in glory.
Oh, wow.
Come on. Okay. I'm going to leave Denzel alone. I'm just messing with you.
Denzel has to have saved a black woman somewhere. Stop it. I reject it. I refuse.
Can you think
I'll
of it?
find it. I'm going to find it.
You got to go find it because you can't think of it, can you?
I can't. No, I can't.
There you go. And there you have it.
But I still think the dopest thing, the most important thing Will Smith has ever said publicly, he said years ago, 20 plus years ago, in relation to the film Hitch. And he said in an interview, and I used to share this with my classes all the time, that he said he was paired with a Latina in Hitch because he said the studios know that a film between a romantic comedy featuring a black man and a white woman, you cannot sell in the United States. And he said a romantic comedy between a black man and a black woman, you cannot sell overseas.
Who says you can't sell it? Have you tried to sell it overseas?
No,
Have you tried to sell it overseas?
No, but
how do you know?
No, but my point, why I think that's important, is because I think Will Smith honestly understood the mind's eye of the industry. And I also think in terms of what was understood, at least by the industry, to be the anti-blackness of the world, which I do find to be consistent. You don't think it's consistent to think that the world would be less interested in?
We act like when we say stuff like that, we act like there are no other black people in parts of the world who will see these films.
But that's not. But they're not. But they're the target audience. They're not the. They're not the. They're not meant to be. They're not meant to respond to the media.
Maybe they.
No. But that's the point. They're not meant to respond to.
Part of the problem is this greed of Hollywood. It ain't gonna make any money. Well, what does that mean? It ain't gonna make any money. It ain't gonna make enough money to pay a shareholder. It's not gonna make some money after it pays all of its actual bills. What does that mean? We need to interrogate. It ain't gonna make no money. Oh, it's gonna make something. What is that something? Can we interrogate that?
But remember, for me, the profit motive is not the number one motive. I think that's part of the mythology that they intentionally promote. The primary motive is the political and psychological warfare impact of it.
Which is why that is stated. Which is why it really ain't gonna make no money overseas. You're a lie.
But that's why I think Will Smith in the safe confines of the profit motive discussion was speaking to the political motive, even if he wasn't conscious of it. And the political motive is to impose on the targeted audience in the world that, yes, you may be a majority black world, but we're not promoting that you be together in unison and in family and in relationship. We want you to see aspirations or to have aspirations to engage in relationships romantically, politically, business-wise with other communities. So I think that's what the importance of what he was really getting to. And that's why I think
I got that. I'm just saying we got to start calling that shit a lie when we hear it. This shit is a lie.
But he's right. I don't think it's a lie to say that from the perspective of those who promote and distribute films, there is no interest in showing the world that a black man and a black woman
I know
can
that
be
there's no interest. What they say is it won't make any money overseas.
Right.
You're a liar.
Well, because even when they do the Black Panther film, but even then I'm wondering, there is no black man, black woman romance in Black Panther. You have black men, you have black women, you have leadership, you have power, but not as a couple.
Which Black Panther?
Either one, parts 1 or 2.
Well, they're not. Okay, what's her name? It's not Shuri. It's the other one. Starts with an N. Lupita Nyong'o's character.
Right. Does she have a black man in the film?
Black Panther. That's her dude.
Well, but but okay, fair enough. We don't get to see that though. It's referenced because he dies.
No, I'm talking about in the first,
Chadwick.
In the first one, they've broken up.
We see them together? Okay, I'm sorry then. I apologize.
They're trying to get back together. He wants her back. She wants to run the world. Right? He's all doe-eyed when he sees her.
Right.
At the very end, there's this kiss.
Okay, fair enough. I apologize. I take it back. Stand corrected.
And in the last one, because he's passed on, we see this child that has been produced by this union.
We do see that, correct.
We don't actually see those two together. No, I get you on that.
But I stand corrected. You're right, though. They did. They did. So we would have to, I think it's fair. We would have to assume that they would have carried that on into the second one had Chadwick lived. So, okay. All right. Okay. Maybe there's that exception. Fair enough. Ricky's asking if there was a kiss. I don't remember. I'm deferring to Tennessee way because she's often right and my memory is garbage.
Mine is getting there. At the end of that first Black Panther, I think there was a kiss at the end. Well, not at the very end where they're in Oakland, but they're walking around in Wakanda somewhere. I believe there was a kiss. I can go look it up.
But even if there's not a kiss, we're at least meant to believe that they're a couple, they're to be together. They don't at least need. We're not being shown that either one of them has an interest in some non-black partner.
Absolutely.
Right? At least, so at least on that part, I got to stand corrected on that. I got to be corrected on that. I don't know if this is relevant. Is this a comment on interracial relationships that you think Zoe Kravitz is the hottest woman alive?
Well, the parents are the product of interracial relationships. But
right, fair enough. You're right. She's right. You're right. I'm sorry. No, that's funny because I actually dated a woman once who was the product of two. We used to have a little, and I used to make that same mistake with her. She'd be like, "No, you're mixed. My parents were mixed. I'm not mixed." I used to have to.
And all these terms are just really problematic anyway. The product of the relationship. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Right on. You're right.
I'm just saying. But yeah, I was, we started out talking about how to blow up a pipeline. I'm cool with it, with it going wherever it goes. I'm cool with that. I am really cool.
Well, so the flip side of that point about the same-sex couple, what I do like about that, because really I think my primary issue, in addition to this feeling like there's a condemnation of black heterosexuality in terms of coupling, I do what I like about what the film did, in addition to that, is that they're not just showing a same-sex couple for the sake of showing a same-sex couple without politicizing it. So they're showing them in the context of this politicized act, which to me is extremely important. It's to say, hey, cool, I'm cool with you having the sexual and gender preferences that you have, or your pronouns, whatever you want. Where are you politically, though?
Exactly. It can't just stop at that. Can't just stop.
So I was very happy to see that. They weren't stopping at that and say, like Theo wasn't saying, look, I'm dying of leukemia, but my last statement is that we're together. You know, like, it was like, nah, we're together. I love you. We deserve to be together. We're going to be together. We're out of all the closets. We're out here doing it, but we got to get busy. Like we got to get busy. This love is not enough, as you said. Like this love is not enough. We got to get busy. So I do. By the way, that was another thing that touched me as well, because I've had that internal thought process of, you know, God forbid, knock on wood, if I get that diagnosis, and I have that same thought about Eddie Murphy's character in life. Like, you don't want to give me that diagnosis, boss, because.
You don't want to give me that gun. You don't want to give me that.
That's what I'm saying. You don't want to give me that diagnosis because I might. Yeah, you better hope I live long and healthy, buddy. Don't tell me I got, you know, because oh boy, you know, oh boy. But I used to even joke with my wife, like, don't even. I'm not gonna say what the number is because I don't want the state to intervene. But my joke used to be, don't let me hit a certain age. Like, because don't let me get to a certain age where I feel like I've, you know,
everything is gone.
Everything is gone, and I done did, and it's a wrap anyway. Because you never know,
Real quick, another thing that I forgot or wanted to mention. So our drug addicted comrades, the druggies, they're different to me from Theo. Theo uses alcohol, I believe, to blunt the pain that she's going to die from leukemia. We see her carrying around a flask, and when she leaves, what is it? I guess it's a support meeting. I'm going to make the assumption it's a support meeting for people with cancer.
Yeah, I made that assumption too. Yeah,
talking about you all helped me with my anger after my diagnosis. When we see her leave the meeting, she takes some pills and then washes it down with her flask. And then later on in the movie, where the group is all together in Texas and they're at the bonfire, Ricky Ryan got me. Theo takes out the flask to get a swig, and Sean is like, I thought we were going to chill out on the alcohol.
Stay sober through the mission, right?
Right. And she was like, don't worry about me. I got this. And then our drug addicted girl's like, I got a blunt.
Right. No, you're right. And I thought I think
so her choice of a drug of alcohol is different from these other folks.
You're right.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. One is recreational. One was maybe not fully medicinal, but more of a coping. Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Old boy and old girl, they get the message from Michael. It's 15 hours. We got to go. That text interrupted them snorting cocaine.
Right.
I'm like,
and then they decide to have a sexual encounter on top of it. It was like
in the woods,
in the middle of the mission.
They in the woods just before that pipeline truck pulls up, and they're like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do?" Where he runs off to get shot. They out there. Never mind. Yeah, in the wood. I'm like, yeah. That's why I'm like, hard and fair. Hell no. YouTube.
But at the same time, I thought it was kind of good. I thought at least intentional, that they included, again, like they had the white boy, the indigenous dude. They wanted reference to someone committing class suicide, and that rich white boy who maybe they could have leaned into that point a little bit more. But I thought that was done intentionally. Because I thought that, again, because
I thought that was the forced bringing together of disparate elements.
Well, I thought that was again, to me, that's an intentional part of the film.
What
I liked about it is that it's saying if there's going to be all this interracial, intersexual, intergender unity, it's got to be based on something radically political. And that I like. I like that. We're not just hanging out because we want to make sure every box is checked and everybody's represented. We're hanging out because we're encouraging some, and I can appreciate that.
I hear you on that. I can too. I'm just like, nah. We're not doing that.
Now, yeah, no, I probably wouldn't. I would have gotten stuck on a number of things, and probably including, I don't actually think this is right, but I would have gotten stuck on the diversity of it.
Mm.
I'd have been like, nah, this is too diverse. I'm not doing this. I'd have been like, nah. I got to be the most diverse element in the room. Otherwise, I can't. I'm not. I'd have been like, nah, because I'd have been kind of like what you're saying. It's like,
I mean,
I'm working with this one. What? Nah.
What was annoying? What was annoying as fornication is what I consider them to be, forcing these folks together. However, I do believe it works well in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that's real. I'm like, that's not going to happen. No, we're not doing that. I appreciate them putting it out there. I do think it was done well.
I think it would have. I wonder. So like kind of like films like maybe like Usual Suspects or Reservoir Dogs or films like that. I would have liked if there had been some interlaced scenes showing how these people actually came together and why they were willing to work with each other despite their differences. Mm-hmm. So for all that's wrong with Quentin Tarantino, like, I think Reservoir Dogs and films like that work because they take the time to show you why all of these different characters are coming together. What are their different interests? Why would they be willing? And even when in that film is the case, one of is an undercover cop. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to see a little bit more of, to your point, how do we go from you filming me in a documentary to me accepting an invitation from you to show up at some pipeline destruction plot? We went a long way real quick. Like 5 minutes ago, I was complaining about my farmland being taken, and now you talking about come plant bombs. Like, I don't know you like, I don't know. And same thing with the scene where Sochi, I think is condemning the liberals in sort of that nonprofit scene, like, I don't know, campus activist scene. Mm-hmm. She was a little bit explicit, I thought, for that kind of space. I was, if you're really trying to convince me that you want us to move beyond this nonprofit space, I'm not going to respond well if you just sort of raise up in a meeting like we're not violent enough, or we're not hostile enough, or we're not. Anyway, I don't know exactly, but I think I just would have liked a little more to be done in the film to say here are the steps that were taken to get us to the point where you see all these different people who clearly would never be together.
Right, a little more development. Yeah, I got you.
Even if it's the boss character who's putting them all together and saying, don't talk to this one because this is this. Like, how did they all, But yeah. So, yeah, that was it. That was what else? Was there more, or are we good? I'm first of all, I'm glad and I appreciate you taking us up on the invitation to see the film and then having this conversation. So I definitely hope others do the same. And yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. I want to do this. Want to do this more often. Want to do some books too, because I'm wondering what you're going to say about that book on the Shakurs by Santee Elijah Holly.
So this is what I would say. Have you read it?
Yes, I have.
Are you going to do something on it?
Are you? Are we going to tag?
I honestly don't think so. Honestly, I hadn't planned on it. I haven't read it in its entirety.
Okay.
But have you heard the Millennials Are Killing Capitalism interview by any chance with the author?
Did I hear it with the author?
I would recommend that.
And then I talked to Jared afterwards,
okay,
and he told me some things. So yeah, I heard part of the interview. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard the interview, and I rap with Jared a little bit too, and a couple other people, and
You gonna leave it alone?
I think so. I think so. I think so. Are
All
you? But what are you gonna do?
right. I did a review for Rebuild.
Oh,
The
you
periodical.
did.
I did it'll be out in the next Rebuild. I might just revisit it, but for the most part, I gave it a pass. I gave it a passing grade
Okay.
because I believe in usefulness, things that are useful. I
Mm.
believe in things that are useful, or there's a use for it.
Mm.
Use for it.
Yeah, to be perfectly clear, my initial reaction is of concern, and I would have to really dig in and read more carefully to say more about it or to
Mm-hmm.
but and there's a couple bias points that I have to get over. I have to admit that too. So, for instance, hearing that it was in airport bookstores made me very,
Well,
very nervous.
it comes out of Random House, which
Mhm.
has got a budget to put it everywhere. They have garnered glowing reviews in the New York
Mm.
Times, the LA Times. If the name Tandasizwe Shimaringa had been on that book, that probably would not have happened.
Even if it was written the same way with the same content.
Well, Tandasizwe Shimaringa has been trying to get an agent and a publisher, and shit, it ain't happened yet. So I don't think that would have happened. The book probably would not have been published.
Mm.
I think that there's enough in the book to show us who these people are, who this movement is, or what this movement is that they came from. But because of who it came from, it may have been considered safe. And I'm like, I kind of think that's subversive. You got somebody presenting something here. Do you know what you are presenting? Do you know how many people have now been introduced to this? Which goes back to I wasn't sure if I was going to go here or not, but this goes back to my thing about Judas and the Black Messiah. Do you know how many people? It was shocking to me how many people did not know about Fred Hampton, because we're the kind of people who live with these people every day. You know, Fred Hampton would have been 71. He's forever 21. He has no gray hair. His hair is jet black. He's forever 21. He would have been 70 something years old if he had still been here. And so we continuously have these people in the forefront of our minds: Malcolm, Garvey, Ida B. Wells, Harriet Tubman, all of these people and their politics. We're constantly going back over the politics. We're reading about it. We're critiquing. We're trying to plug in holes. We're thinking about these people all the time. And there are some people who have never freaking heard of these people. And I'm like, how? How did you not know that Fred Hampton existed? How did you not know that? We're not even talking about the Shakurs and the New African Independence Movement. How have you never heard of Fred Hampton? Murdered in his bed by the Chicago police? And the district or whoever it was, state's attorney, they lied about it? They lied and said the Panthers were shooting at them. And then they found out that all the bullets, except for one, were shooting into the door. And that one bullet that shot out was a reflex action of Mark Clark being shot in the heart. You've never heard this story? How? The same way the brothers who wrote the script. We heard about it in African American Studies class. So you've gone from childhood up to age 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and you've never heard of Fred Hampton until you got to college. How many black folk go to college? How many black folk enroll in African American Studies courses when they go to college? So this movie has taken Fred Hampton. We can critique the portrayal, the presentation. It has taken Fred Hampton everywhere. I believe that's useful. I particularly believe what is useful when we're talking about this snitch who gets flipped in, or whatever, who flips in How to Blow Up a Pipeline. What I appreciated about Judas, one of the things I appreciated about Judas and the Black Messiah, we got to see played out. I don't know if it happened in real life, but we got to see a visual representation on screen. What's his name? The snitch, William somebody, whatever his name is. We got to see so many opportunities where he could have turned around and done the right thing, and he fucking did not do it. How you gonna cry about putting a sleeping agent or whatever in this man's drink, and then you still did it? What you crying for? All of these opportunities where he could have turned around and said, no, I'm not doing this. And where he could have gone to his comrades and said, you know what? This is what I'm faced with. This is what I'm dealing with. Can y'all help me? Because did you see Serafina?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that standard of filmmaking where we use the imagination, where we put forth what we think should happen. Serafina, about the children in Azania, South Africa, during the Soweto uprising. These are children, teenagers, middle school folks. They find out one of their friends is snitching on them. They go to his house and confront him. His father's disabled. He takes care of his father. Well, look at it was a black cop. He threatened me and my father. The children said, oh, word? We'll be right back. They chased that black cop down and put a tire on him. That's what they did in that film. So I look for the usefulness. How can we use this? You had every opportunity. You see what the Panthers are doing. You see what Fred is doing. You had every opportunity to do the right thing, and you still set him up to be killed. This person, this type of person, should be a pariah in our communities. And if you are faced with this type of situation of incarceration or snitching on someone, you come to us and you tell us, and let's figure out a way. If it ain't nothing but we got money on your books for the next 50 years. I know you that don't sound enticing. I'm just saying, we've got to begin to talk about this cannot happen. You cannot do this. We have to cultivate. We have to cultivate that spirit of love for the people. I am of having principles and integrity. I am not going to do this. I've done some shit. I'm going to do some more shit. I'm not going to do this. You remember Breonna Taylor's boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, I believe the one that they said they were, either the one they said they were looking for or the one who was actually the one who was actually with her when the cops came in. They tried to get him to say that her apartment was being used for drugs or blah, 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 blah. He's like, oh, no, I ain't going to do that. He had done some things in his past. He's like, I'm not doing that. We need more people to say, I'm not doing that.
So I don't disagree, but my problem with that part, but where I do disagree is that when you make the point, as others make all the time, that we can make use of these films, we lose sight of the fact that those in power are able to make greater use of a film that does more for their politics than these films do for ours. So any good
use it.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but again, it's the same point that I'm getting at. We can use it, but not nearly to the effect or impact that at all mitigates the ability of those in power to use it as it was intended to work against us. So to me, it's still a net negative. And I would rather, and I think at this point, my point from the beginning has been proven correct. There has been zero observable political change or improvement or consciousness since Judas and the Black Messiah. So
film, and we dealing with a whole lot of shit out here in the world.
But that's my point.
I think it's part of it should be in the arsenal. It's part of the arsenal. We can put it in the arsenal, I think.
But
You disagree.
I do disagree because to your point, which is also mine, it's just one part in their arsenal of colonialism, white supremacy, capitalism, income, policing, surveillance, all of that. And
you have conventional warfare and you have guerrilla warfare. We don't have their budget. We don't have their arsenal.
But that's my point. So,
what we got? What do we got? Can we use what we got?
But that would be my point. We should use what we got, which is an analysis and a history and a perspective of Fred Hampton that you can't get in any film. That's what we have to build on and communicate to segments of our community that we want to change. Because once that film comes in, we can't use it to do that work. That's what I'm saying. We can no longer use it to do that work. In fact, really what I'm...
We could show what Fred Hampton ate, but okay. I got you.
What I'm really trying to get at is that, and I don't know, there is really no, I'm not aware of any smoking gun proof for this. So to me, it's a conclusion I've reached looking at the collection, the collective of the a variety of histories and arguments. But my point simply is that the symbolic attachment to the mainstream already destroys and undercuts any radical message. So the minute, so as I was saying when we're talking to Skip Kuhn about artists performing on the State Department's budget, the moment you step on stage for the State Department, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you do. The minute Colin Kaepernick accepted a Nike commercial, there goes the thumbs up again. I don't know who's doing it, but apparently they agree with me. As soon as Colin Kaepernick took the Nike deal and did the commercial, it destroyed symbolically his whole movement. And again, this is not a criticism, it's not a judgment, but it's just, I think politically, objectively, it just destroys it. When Talib Kweli and Common 20 years ago started doing those Coca-Cola and Toyota commercials, it just wipes out unconsciously anything that they would do positively politically. You can't enter the public sphere as representing radical politics if you've already been sponsored and symbolically attached to the state. So that's why I'm saying, in this sense, it doesn't matter, even if the film was better than I think it was, the fact that it's coming out on a mainstream outlet, the fact that it's supported by Hollywood, the fact that it's getting awards and they're doing, we're taking pictures of our star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The minute you're doing all of that, it just wipes it out. It's the same thing. Look, I even said it it was my argument back in the day with our dear sister Rosa when she went on that red carpet with Susan Sarandon. It's not that first of all, I told her if I'm invited, I'm probably going to go just because I want to see what it's like. So I'm not judging that, but I'm saying symbolically, it ruins it undercuts the message. Because
for you.
No, but at least my argument is that consciously or not, it undercuts the message in the mind's eye of the audience. That once people see the association, they can't distinguish the radical message anymore. That's my argument, at least. I don't know.
Well, okay. Have you tested out that argument? Have you talked to people?
Oh yeah, well that part. I mean, not in any scientific way, but in the conversations and in the analyses and certainly in the ultimate conclusion for me is that there has been no, again, observable evolution of radical consciousness and movement.
I'm just saying, like, it undercuts the message for you. It might not undercut a message for someone who didn't know that there was a message or a plan other than the presentation of Fred Hampton. Oh, great. Now I know about this event that happened that I didn't know about before. And it's up to the activists and the organizers to make not only the connections, but to provide the opportunities for further analysis, further study.
But I'm saying we can't. That's the part I'm saying we can't. And so the opposite, I would ask you and anyone else.
We have no agency. We have no agency whatsoever.
That's that word. That's that trick word. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. See, that's not. Oh man, this is just a bad day for me in the nuance of my argument. That's not what I'm saying. I have never said that. It's in fact the opposite, Tandi. It's the opposite. It's the fact. It's the fear of our actual agency and our actual capability that keeps generating all of this psychological warfare that we have to work so hard against. So these films are not here to aid the agency. They're here to disrupt it and destroy it. And that's why I'm saying it's not just what I think is happening. It's not to me that the message is being subconsciously undercut. I'm assessing this in my it's my assessment of the impact on the audience, that it undercuts any radical capability in the message being generated or reaching them. That is meant to limit the actual power that we do have that does cause them fear, which is that organizational social movement capability. So when we as activists come into the room and say, now I'm going to try to deconstruct this mainstream film so that you know who Fred Hampton really was, so that he inspires you as he properly would if he was not distilled through these ridiculous films, it makes it that much more difficult for us. That's why I think that they do this. So that's it's a response to the agency. It's meant to deny our agency.
Actually, I got you. We're having some struggle issues, some nuance issues that I ain't gonna be concluded today. They ain't gonna get concluded.
No, and to Yipper's point, I'm just not having a ball today. So the announcements went out yesterday on my birthday. The announcement went out that on that day that they had a ball. The announcement was we had a ball today, and 52 years later, I'm not plus 1 day. I'm struggling today, but it's all good. It's all good.
Happy belated happy birthday, Jared.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I can't think of any better way than to spend this birthday weekend than in political discussion, even disagreement with my comrades. So that's fine. And I hope to be proven wrong. I hope that there's a group of people who have seen Judas and are building this radical, or using it as inspiration to build. But again, that would be the question I would ask you and anyone else. When I'm asked what is the evidence that it's not having the impact, my question is what evidence is there ever of a mainstream commercial media product positively impacting a revolutionary movement? And I off the top, I can't think of any. But that would be my argument. What is the proof that Judas has expanded the radicalness of its audience? But listen, if anytime you want to do this again with me, I love it, and I think it would be great if you invite whoever else from the BPM sphere to join you for these discussions. And
I'm glad that I saw you recommend the film. I'm glad I saw the film. I'm glad we were able to chop it up. I hope we can do that on some more films.
Absolutely.
Even books.
How did you see the film, by the way?
I think Hulu. I have a Hulu subscription.
Oh, it's on Hulu. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Okay, good. Right on. And yeah, next time. So I set the agenda for this one. You can. I'll let you pick the one that I join you for next time. You can give me the book to read or the movie to watch. And but I'm gonna think about that question though. A black man saving a black woman in a film. And Denzel saving a black woman in particular, right? It was Denzel or any black man.
It wasn't particular. It was
any black man.
Name a film. And Ricky Ryan said it ain't gonna be Denzel for sure.
And it ain't gonna be Denzel. That's right. That was the joke. Right on. Damn. Yeah, that's deep, isn't it? He had
that first one. He's out to save a little white girl. Oh.
Man on Fire. He's saving a white girl. In that first movie where he's the son of a white man, he's saving them. In The Enforcer, at least I didn't see the second Enforcer, but the first one, he's doing that for the white girl.
The Equalizer?
The Equalizer, that's what I meant. Yeah. I didn't see the second one, but he's doing that for the white girl. Damn, Ricky messed my head up with that. Denzel, boy, that's...
Woo!
I did read years ago that in the Pelican Brief, I read an article that argued that had he been white, they would have kissed at that hotel scene where she goes to stay with him and then they sleep in separate rooms. But had he been white, that they would have kissed. They would have fallen in love. I like that movie too.
I like the You know, it's a journal, quote unquote. There's an aspect of journalism there.
Yep.
There's research there, investigation. That's one of my quote unquote journalism movies.
But I also liked it. But I also liked it for the reason that this film or that article was criticizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the unreality of a Denzel Julia Roberts relationship. I liked it that they said no. She was like no. I'm sleeping here. You stay out here on the couch and make me feel safe, and then write the story that's going to protect me. And then from a journalistic point of view, he's saying no, I'm not going to threaten my journalistic integrity by sleeping with my subject. I'm going to write the story. So I actually like that it worked out that way.
Yeah, that's
but
cool.
I do agree that had he been white, they would have had them have a relationship.
A blurring of lines and yeah.
And we would have been expected as an audience to love that. That would have been acceptable.
I don't remember what year it came out. What's the one? Denzel and Angelina Jolie. Bone Collector.
Oh, that's right. Did they have a relationship in that?
I was in the movie theater, but there's nothing like going to movies with black people. I'm in the movie theater with a black audience watching the Bone Collector, and she goes to she's got a clue. She's got a piece of the little piece of paper with the that the guy, the killer, the guy leaves as a clue. And she tells him it's got something on it. I can't make out the smell. So he tells, hold it closer. And she holds it close and then she drops it. So now she's leaning over him, over his chest, trying to find it. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he said, "No, that's okay. Take your time." You should have heard the groan from sisters in the audience. We was like, "Oh,
don't do it."
Oh, here we go.
Don't you do it, Denzel.
That shit was hilarious.
But they don't have a relationship, dude, in that film, do they? They don't.
Yeah.
Do they? I don't remember it. So
they're holding hands at the end.
But what we do know, to Ricky's rule, is that he wasn't saving a black woman in that movie.
The black woman got killed in the movie. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Queen Latifah was his caregiver. She got shanked. We need to
get off. Walk off holding hands with Angelina Jolie.
We need to get off this show, man.
Hey, it's your show. End it when you want to. I'm good. I'm on my birthday weekend. I don't have to pick anybody up for another hour.
This is hilarious.
My chauffeur duty I'm off for another hour or so. So I got
time. Laughter's good. I don't even feel my arthritis while I'm sitting up here with you.
There you go.
You gotta do this more often.
Yeah, absolutely. My back even stops hurting while I'm laughing. Oddly enough.
Why don't we see what do we want to find out what people saying in the chat? I keep
We can. I peek in every once in a while. It's scary. And the chat this morning for me was just a nightmare. So I've been looking like this. Like I don't but if you find something, let me if anybody got a comment or a question that they want us to look at.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. I'm arthritis prevention. That's right.
Cool. Then we're gonna tune up more often.
Yeah.
The way them people groaned in that movie theater, that shit was fucking hilarious.
I'd like to go back to the guest comment about black men not saving black women in movies. Well, they don't save them in everyday life either. Whoops. Whoops.
Oops. Well,
but ain't film supposed to be fantasy? Like, we supposed to see a whole bunch of. We don't see those Supermans and Hulks running around here either. So why can't
we don't see no big green people walking around? Ooh, woo.
Okay. By the way, I don't know if I fully agree with that. I just for the record, I do think it's important to note that
enough. They don't
not enough. I'll grant you that. But
it's not done enough.
But let's and shout out to the late great Dr. James Turner, founding director of the Africana Studies and Research Center, who famously, to some, one of the reasons why he had that cool limp at the end of his life was that he suffered an injury defending. You know what? Off the top of my head, I don't want to get the gender wrong. Defending a black person against white violence. Mm-hmm. And Turner jumping in when he didn't need to, suffered a lifelong injury as a result. And I don't know how many people know that about him. I mean, he was walking around looking cool as an old man. He put the bop on it, but that limp wasn't just because he was cool. So anyway, my point is, every once in a while.
Ambassador General, hold on, let's see. The negotiator, Sam Jackson, wanted to keep his promise to get home to his wife. You know what that makes me think of? That makes me think of the remake of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Denzel is married to my girl whose name has escaped me now, Anjanou Ellis.
That's right.
Anjanou Ellis, and they got, I think he said 2 daughters. One of them runs track. And he
But is it saving the black woman?
No, it didn't save the black woman. Not saving, but just putting it out there for Denzel. He's saving the city of New York and the transit system from a terrorist.
Yep.
Anyway,
John Travolta. That's like 20 years ago. We going back a ways to find these movies now.
Denzel takes a bribe to pay for his kids' college tuition.
Yeah, and the negotiator's older than that.
Well, it didn't have to be recent.
But I'm just saying, how many? I mean, it's a lot of movies we got to go through to find these examples. Is the point I'm getting at?
Too many.
Yeah. So, all right. Black love is a myth.
Let's not talk about him in the movie with him as a pilot. I did not see that film. I did not want.
You didn't see Flight?
I did not want to see that film.
He definitely does not save a black woman in that movie.
What was the movie with him on the island? An old girl set him up. It was a black girl in that one.
Denzel on an island?
Yeah, he was the.
Oh, when he was on with Robert Townsend with playing a Jamaican. Where he's
no, not that one. He's
because he's with Shirley Ralph in that film.
No, not that one. Is it Sanaa Lathan? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't remember that.
He's with a movie and I can't remember. She sets him up to be the beneficiary of the insurance, but she's not really dead. I think she fakes her death.
Oh, I don't know this one.
It reminds me of like a South Carolina, maybe it's Florida. I think it's in Florida. I started to say it's an island. I think it's in Florida with an outlying island. I can't remember. Anyway. No, it's not John Q. Kenyatta says it was Miami, but I don't remember the Out of Time. That's the name of the film, Out of Time.
I don't remember that movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was not memorable. But all right. So we reaching now, bro. We reaching. So let's go on.
No, I'm good. We good. You want to take us out? You got the close? You want me to get the close?
Pelican Brief.
No, we already covered that. That wasn't Pelican Brief. Stop it. Pelican Brief was in DC.
Pay attention. No, let me stop.
Pay attention. No,
Madagascar. Was Madagascar a cartoon?
I thought that was the cartoon. Yeah, Denzel's not.
Y'all just
because that was my other thing about when do we see? How often do we see films about Africa where African people are the actual center of the film?
The center of the film.
The center of the film.
Okay.
So most films are either not there at all because it's a cartoon or in the animals, or they are some background character for some.
They just trolling now, Mississippi Masala.
Oh, I used to love that movie.
Yeah,
but again, he was not saving a black woman in that one either. He got his Indian mixed love in there.
He was not with.
What's her name? She's fine though. Whatever, and she's even fine as an old woman.
Whatever her name was.
I forget her name. She's fine. I'm sorry. She's fine. She's fine. But you're right. But she's not a black woman. He was not saving her. He was Ricochet. Is that the movie? I don't know that movie. But I know he's in that movie.
You never saw Ricochet? Ice-T is in that.
That's not going to help it. That might have been the reason why I didn't see it. Some of these I just don't remember though. They're not. They run together.
We are giving Denzel too much time.
Yeah.
Maybe we need that. The films of Denzel Washington, a Black Power Media analysis. No.
That would be good. We do need to do that.
Okay.
So, all right. We good?
About 2 hours in.
Am I hitting the button?
I think we good. Thank you, Jared, for being on here with me today. Thank you to all the BPMers in the chat. Thank you so much.
No, right on. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Tandy. And peace. Like Fred Hampton used to say, if you're willing to fight for it, I'll take us out. Thank you very much. Peace.
So